Hi everyone, this is Hosam Achrafi, an associate with Satarla based in Australia. However, as you can see behind me, I am currently in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates is where I was born and brought up, and I lived more than 27 years in here. Now, this is a region that is very interesting when it comes to risks, both as threats and opportunities. In less than 10 hours time, I'm going to see a very spectacular firework and lighting show from the Burj Khalifa, which is right here, the tallest tower in the world. Dubai will also be hosting the World Expo in 2020, which is scheduled to open to public in less than 300 days. Now, this is just a very small example of major events and major investments that are made in the United Arab Emirates and in Saudi Arabia as they continue to plan, spend on, and execute mega multi-year economical transformation initiatives and social reform initiatives and programs across the two countries. These initiatives are heavily designed by and driven by professionals and subject matter experts from across all industry, all around the world, bringing their insight, experience, and expertise from the world to here. So, for instance, we heard of Saudi Aramco's IPO just a couple of months ago. Some social reforms in Saudi includes relaxation of some rules and regulations to influence more people to visit the country and tour as tourists, or start working there as new residents, or pretty much also invest in there as new global investors in the country. Dubai has led the transformation journey in the region, and then Abu Dhabi has embarked in the journey, and more recently Saudi Arabia. So there are a lot of positive economical risks associated with the promised enhancements and reforms in the region. And we can consider them as opportunities. However, there are also a number of threats against realizing their visions. So, for instance, as they are still heavily investing on diversifying their economies, the economies are heavily dependent on the production and price of oil and gas, and so they are impacted by the performance or the fluctuating performance of the oil and gas market. This region is also the center of some major geopolitical affairs, while an all-out war in the region is highly unlikely. We already heard earlier this year about some attacks on some oil tankers on the Gulf of Oman, and an attack on a major oil refinery in Saudi. Now, when it comes to businesses and how the businesses in here define risks and manage their risks, it all depends on the country, on the city, and even on the business that is dealt with. Now, for example, in Abu Dhabi, this is a city which the economic model of it has been influenced by the oil and gas industry for a number of decades, and more recently by sovereign wealth fund and the finance industry and investments to diversify the economy. So there are many businesses in there that when you tell them risks, they immediately think about threats and how to stop these threats associated with personnel health and safety, and associated with meeting operational targets. Some other organizations in Abu Dhabi will immediately think about financial risks, investment risks, and investment returns. In Dubai, the economic model is different, and as you can see behind me, the city is the economy of the city is driven by construction, real estate, entertainment, business, banking, and finance. And so the risks associated that the businesses in here think about are financial risks, global supply chain risks, procurement and logistics, project-related risks, and as I guess I mentioned the financial risks in here. And so, but as I mentioned, overall, even though I've been speaking about threats more than opportunities, this is the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are two cities that are being quite open-minded to understand leading practices around the world, and to adopt leading practices, and to align their frameworks and their management systems to these leading practices. And so there are more and more businesses that are defining risks as both opportunities and threats, and they are aligning their risk management system and their risk management framework to the latest risk management ISO standards.